But you know, it happens. The point is, it is a really strong pick, especially for a team like GameWard, where Checolad is a big standout player,
Yeah.
one who commands a lot of resources, who they like to play for. It makes sense. You want to get rid of these things. And the Jin is a really good ban as well for Inax, just because he's plays so good at setting up for the rest of his team with
Yeah.
this particular pick. However, I don't think it'll be as big a deal, just because lately he has indexed into things like the Jinx and Aphelios, and he's been playing them quite well.
Shocker. Jinx Aphelios meta continues to reign supreme for every single ADC within the current meta. I think it makes perfect sense, and considering those are the two main ADCs that are up right now, although Thresh is banned away, I should expect to see a first pick Jinx, or perhaps even Lee Sin if they want to do so, or they can go for the trade on the Aphelios and lock that in, and the response should be Jinx and some sort of tank support. I'm thinking Leona or Nautilus.
Yeah, they could just go ahead and go for jungle too. Like Xin Zhao is still up. It's Akabane's best champ. I believe most of his wins are when he is playing that one, and he's really good at impacting that early laning phase. And realistically, Xin is probably the strongest jungler on the patch, especially when it comes to their ability to impact the early game here. So yeah, we probably will see the Jinx come through, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that jungle come out as well, just because of the fact that Xin is just left up.
Yeah, also true. Exactly like you mentioned, right? And I believe that's where the hover is at. And exactly like you said, there's a Xin pick naturally so, and the response from Misfits is the Volibear. I think this is so interesting because as the week has come by, I don't think Volibear actually got a buff last week either, or within 12.3, but we've just seen that the meta in the LFL have just gone towards early dives, and teams like Misfits love doing things like that. So the response is quite natural, especially into the Xin pick, so we should expect to see a lot more early game presence from Tinks, which, as we're so naturally accustomed to, of course, Nar picked up. And that is the Jace. That the most common response has been Graves, but I like this Jace pick. GameWard clearly showing where they want to play towards.
Right, and the thing is too, Melanic's really good on this kind of champion. It's just the thing that I always worry about when they put him on these carries is the actual jungle attention. Jace, lane bully, needs resources, can do well in 1v1 isolation in a lot of matchups, but you want to play for him and accelerate him so he can be that nightmare later on, where those shock blasts with the acceleration gate end up just chunking out squishy members of the team before you walk into objectives here. So we do have that opportunity with Akabane on the Xin Zhao, so I'm not so worried. The Volibear is nice too because you also have a lot of early game pressure. And like we're seeing, mid laners are most of what are going to be taken out here because neither has gone for supports, and I don't realistically think there's any particularly like OP support left with Thresh taken off the board. So I'm pretty sure we're just going to see more mid lane bans go. Things like Ahri still available, things like Syndra maybe.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, right? Just something to allow Checolad to move out of the lane sooner rather than later, especially when you're playing for a Jace comp. You want to make sure you're focusing topside and have as much support as possible, which is why I was hoping the Rise could potentially come through, but it's that GameWard take that away because the Misfits are very comfortable on that as well, so is Chayek. So them taking that lane bully away and just clear speed with the Rise is quite nice to the block. It's taking that as well. Early Roman and the Syndra with the first pick, like you were saying, in terms of the options of the Victor, might be the clear response from Chayek unless he picks up something more interesting. Artie and Corki have been taken out, so I'm wondering what the response might be here, or maybe they might just save the support pick for just the mid pick for last, just to give Chayek a bit more options to play with. But for now, he's just currently hovering, and we'll see what he tries to lock in as a response. And the Zoe is a good one, I'd say.
Wow, okay, that's a pretty interesting pick here. I mean, it is a lane that can contest for mid-prior with the Syndra early on. I think that's going to end up being really important with the strong mid-jungle duo I think both of these teams have. I think early on, if we look at like the skirmishing power, I favor GameWard's mid-jungle with the Xin and the Syndra, and especially with how good Akabane's been on this pick in particular, I'm not going to be surprised to see them winning out on a lot of these skirmishes here. The thing that's going to be a big deal for Misfits is kind of Tinks being able to find a lot of early leads there for Woolite. Woolite is the player on this team that we're always looking towards, even though you have Chayek and Irrelevant, who have been very good now, really coming into their own as new players on this roster, and just newer players overall. Woolite is still that guy here, and that's what I'm looking for. Tinks to be able to find some of this early value, and the fact that Irrelevant is back on this Gnar pick, because since the Hullbreaker build came out, and he started to become a more popular pick, Irrelevant, I think it was against Solary, actually had an insane Gnar game coming through and actually smashing Keo, getting a Flame Horizon, which was really tough to watch if you're a top lane player. I know you were reeling in the back when it happened.
I was indeed, my friend. I was crying my absolute eyes out for the potential that was simply lost. But I will digress as we see this game as of right now. Standard 5-point starts from both these teams. Nothing super extravagant. Just simply early wards given over onto Akabane's Raptors, and alongside his own blue as well. But if you look on the other end, they did manage to get a ward on Sinks' blue as well. So both junglers are aware of each other's presence, considering both start topside. I'm looking to see probably just a full clear from both of them, and then we'll probably get into the action at around 3 minutes.
Yeah, the early plays probably going to come through on the bottom side of the map. Playing the bot makes a lot of sense. You know, you got Jinx, Aphelios.
Yep.
This is just the meta. This is just the world we live in right now. 80 carries, probably loving life. Whereas top laners, I mean, about as much as they can, all things considered lately.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a possibility, like you're saying, because of course a lot more attention goes their way, but that's both a good and a bad thing, because sometimes, you know, they're going for these level 3 cheese ganks, right? Sometimes they're immediately just trying to stack 2 waves.
Just dodge them.
Trying to dive. You're right. Why don't you as a person just live?
Yeah.
It is so simple. B10 Boulevard, this is why you're the smartest brain person I know.
I know. It's a burden. Honestly, it's a curse.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's what it is. And you know what it is?
What's that?
Melanic not having the greatest time early on in the top lane. That's what it is. And both junglers have made their way to this bottom side of the map here. And you can already see, I think that ward was actually cleared out. Chameleus was trying to get some aggressive vision there in the tri-brush.
Yeah.
Just to get an idea on where Tinks, or rather when Tinks is going to show up. It's not a matter of, you know, if, it's just when.
It's simply that. And I believe, exactly like you're mentioning, he's already moving over, but so is Akabane. There's no ward than try like you're mentioning, so you should not be spotted, but setting up for a dive here might not be the greatest of ideas, but we do see Chocolat also roaming down, just mirroring him to make sure that he does not get taken down, try to take his crab, as he's more than likely aware that Tinks is likely at the bot side with him as well, as they have a really nice ward. There's a Raptor pit too. Now, but this is interesting, like since he's aware of Akabane's presence, he'll try to move up and get the second crab, but there's a ward there already. They're tracking Tinks, bro, like beautifully.
Yeah, they have a good idea of where he is, and the bot lane play doesn't end up working there for Akabane. They are respecting it on the side of Misfits, and the fact is, like, you know the timer, you know Zin started bot, around that 3-minute mark he's going to be on the bottom side of the map, so you just back off, and there isn't much you can do while the wave bounces back. Instead, Tinks is going to go straight top and look for the angle here. This is actually going to be a really good gank. Yeah,
Melanic knows he's here to get the shield down as well. The flash is up, but he has to use that along with swatting away the bear. So has to burn. He was aware of his presence, but unfortunate that he had to burn the flash.
Yeah, he held his flash, was hoping that he could, I think he should have just flashed right away, because now he has to recall.
But speaking of potentially having a flash, Chameleus might have done exactly that. The Ignite taking him down, but Leona is the tankiest thing on the planet before level 5.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Eclipse is a nice ability. And yeah, as we saw, Melanic lost all his health before he flashes, so he does end up just forced to use the teleport. Doesn't get that serrated Dirk, is just going to be able to come back with a tier and 2 long swords here. Delaying Irrelevance back is nice. I think there was an opportunity where he could have just walked back to lane and not commit TP yet, but I think now he might have to.
Yeah, he most definitely will, though. I was going to point out, like you were mentioning, with the TP being committed, at least he's back in time to catch his fat wave, because it looks like 2 waves at least, so he wasn't denied that, because if he didn't go back and do so, if they caught him on an unfortunate place, then Irrelevant could have actually been ahead a whole wave, and likely just the level of Melanic, which would have been really nice for the Nard, who wants to get Hullbreaker as soon as possible to start running stuff topside, especially against the J suit. Once he has that Eclipse down, you know, he should be able to trade in terms of health, because that's what we've seen in terms of grades as well. But for now, Vander on the roam, gets the wards down, and clearing us a vision as we ease mid. And first check left back away, the return gank, the flash on a Melanic. Has no flash this time, can't swat them away, and the boomerang will catch him.
There it is, already. Nice bit of gold into Irrelevant's pocket there, gets first blood on this Narpic that he's been performing very well on lately. And I was just going to talk about how the vision has been good from GameWard on this bottom side of the map. You can see the deep vision means that Tinks, it's really hard for him to get an angle anywhere but top lane, it looks like. But the thing is, he still manages to find the angle anyway. Melanic is really starting to fall behind as a result. And no TP, you can see that actually Irrelevant is threatening the freeze. So already a bit of gold and XP is likely going to be lost here to Melanic. So hopefully GameWard are going to be able to find advantages on the other side of the map to be able to offset what they're currently losing.
Yeah, this was a potentially nice play, right? But like you were mentioning, GameWard do get spotted out. Gonna go for a 3-man dive and just punish Tinks. But they don't get anything back, but I do like this change from GameWard, though. We were talking about yesterday how when they lose out in the productivity department early on in the game, they tend to just turtle shell in and then decide to wait for their opponents to make a mistake. Now, I guess Misfits is a lot more plausible, but as of right now, plays like these definitely will pay off, and trying to make sure they can find angles back in the game as he gets the first dragon.
Oh,
and
hello?
Actually, wait, okay, he goes in by himself. Camille takes a bunch of damage. Still has flash, puts down the ignite, but Tanks gets a slow on him. Wind becomes lightning, and he dies. Akabe has to run away, takes a bunch of damage. Vander wants to look for it, but he can't do anything at all. GameWard, finally the player they're looking for, and Shayak not there in time.
And this is what I'm talking about, trying to find value. Oh, hold that thought.
Okay, he uses the flash. He's so deep. He should get Camillus off of this one Murado, but now he has to somehow get out of here, and yeah, should be able to do that. Get picked to the free flash too, and use. How many flash does he have?
I mean, Zoe, the Spell Thieves, very cool ability. Means that Inex is just going to flash to get away because it feels like Chayak is just going to chase him forever. But ultimately, all very positive play coming through from GameWard. And this is what I mean. Getting gold to offset what you're losing for Melanic on that top side of the map. And you can see Checolat has been doing such a good job this game overall, using his priority, not just for moving for some of these plays first, but being able to set up vision, making it so that, again, like I said, Tanks only able to make plays top, kind of like this one. Oh my god, oh, he's gone.
Yeah, use the ultimate against Melanic, but Akabe is here to defend his top side. There we go. Saved by an absolute hair, but landing the sleepy trouble bubble onto the jungler. No flash on him, but they want to gift this over to Chayak. Oh! A little bit overzealous. They should have just committed.
Well, they decided it wasn't worth it. True. Giving Akabe in the trade back maybe is not something. They got what they wanted. The point is you force him out, you make it easy to... You give enough pressure for Irrelevant to be able to just snag all these turret plates, and you walk away with the red buff there. So you're really happy with this if you are Misfits, and you can see it. The plays they've been making top, the CS lead going in Irrelevant's favor, is why you see the gold lead here. And we're going to look at the replay, too. After taking the dragon, I like this angle. GameWard are like, wait, we can fight them. Even though Camillus loses most of his health, they don't actually see Checolad is on his way. So he is there to immediately flash, use that unleash power on Woolite, and at that point, it was just a great play from GameWard, a double for Checolad, and even though Chayak managed to get 2 to trade, I still think this is good for them.
Oh yeah, this is fantastic, and Chayak now just chasing them all down with it, forcing out Inax's flashes, just Zoe things, right?
Yeah.
Because I like what Misfits did in the early game, especially considering that's just DM. That's so unfortunate. But they knew the GameWard wanted to play for topside, and so Tanks immediately pays a ton of attention, trying to bully Melanic, who we were looking at before how they drafted a lane bully from half the time, but they don't end up giving it the resources, but this time it's Misfits punishing beautifully.
See the trade of jungles coming through. So Akabe does manage to get the red buff back that was stolen from him in a sense. And again, you can see the pressure the GameWard are putting on this bottom side of the map. Tinks, because Irrelevant is already so far ahead, already has that Hullbreaker built, he can continue playing towards topside, and this game's been tough for Melanic. We're talking about Serrated Dirk and how that's a big buy for Jace. He still hasn't been able to get it with the awkward timers based on either death or improper recalls. He's just got the Vamp Scepter and it's here in another longsword, so this is a little awkward for Melanic. Once he gets to that 2-item mark, he'll still be able to have his uses in terms of range and poke. The thing is, Misfits are going to have some of their own because of Chayak on this pick, who's also 2-0 right now.
I mean, Chayak so far, like you're saying, he's already becoming a nuisance of the Zoe or the Yon, I believe. Yeah, they unfortunately he loses out on it, but for now, Tinks will just use the blast cone to just get away. Unfortunately, he loses to Vision, that top side. He has been losing crabs off both bot too. I mean, that sucks, but can't do much about it.
I think it's a nice play, though, from GameWard overall. The fact is, you know, Tinks has been spending so much time topside. You know, with the Irrelevant's ability to split push now that the Hullbreaker is built, you want to get him out of the laning phase. You just want to keep pressure Melanic. That's what they're thinking. So, GameWard say, no, we're going to force Tinks out of here so that he can't keep bullying our top laner. And Melanic's like, finally, thank you for the attention. It's not like I was suffering or anything.
No, I'm fine here, man. I've said it before. It's a top lane experience, bro. And as soon as you fall behind, your jungler decides, oh, you don't exist anymore.
I mean, it was before he fell behind. They just decided, oh, whatever, man.
I mean, like I already said, right, this is just due to just good plays by Misfits, considering they know they're after Jace, so they decide, all right, what if you want to play the game? But they really get Check a lot ahead for that too, but he is even a lane, but the fact that he couldn't move up is really detrimental in GameWard because they can't pay all the attention towards Melanic either. But with a Hullbreaker, like I mentioned, he continues to bully the Chase, but once he has the Eclipse, I remember I was hearing Brooklyn talk about this, and he mentioned how with the Eclipse and also with the Vamp Scepter, you can actually go for pretty even health trains against the Gnar as long as you land your Shock Blast. So you can keep him in lane, but look at that, he's already like 1,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's because of the First Blood, all the plays and attention, gold, turret plays. There's so much going for Irrelevant on the top side, and we've seen what kind of split push monster he can be now with this Gnar over the last couple of weeks. So all that pressure is still very beneficial here as we have Melanic actually walking down mid.
The grab with Samantha too, and their target is going to be Akabane.
He's dead.
Take flashes over the wall, but Inax puts out so much damage. And immediate execution, unfortunate play for Misfits.
Yeah, and they don't even know that Melanic is in the area until now, so the poke damage means that they have control over this mid wave. It's going to be very easy for GameWard to just walk down and go ahead and pick up the second dragon. I love that they are playing for the dragon stacking, especially with all the attention and control they've exerted bot lane. So I think this is I think the Dragon Soul is going to be a pretty good win condition for them here as they continue to stack them up.
Indeed, and like you say, should be able to get the second one here, as we see only Akabane there, but Melanic moving down bot side. It's finally time for the classic. ADCs go mid, top goes bot, bot goes top. Well, top still takes top, but we'll see this switch over. Chocolat takes over a little bit for Irrelevant. He should be careful not to step up a bit too much because there's still another Hull Breaker, and Chocolat would likely die. He has no flash and no TP either, so I'll have to stay very far back in case he doesn't want to give over any sort of more gold to Irrelevant.
Yeah, he's up there just because of Melanic walked his way down and decided to catch the top wave for his top laner, and it's looking like because of the timing of that, they on the side of GameWard don't want to go for this dragon here right now. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I was saying.
Gnar things.
Indeed. If he actually lands the Boomerang there as well, Chocolat potentially dies, but he was actually so far from the Gnar bar. It was cutting it quite close, but like I said, he can't step up too far. He is an immediate kill threat range. I know because I stepped up too far and I've died because of that.
Experience is the best teacher, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. So in exchange for control over this bottom side, it's going to be it's going to be rather irrelevant. Taking this turret, all 5 plates, it's not going to be the first turret, so he doesn't get that bonus gold, but it's still insane how far ahead Irrelevant is ahead of Melanic at the moment here. This bonus gold is coming through. It's getting close to level 11, which is already insane to begin with here. Most XP. So yeah, there you go. He hits it. Yeah. He's such a strong player on the map now. And GameWard are just really hoping that they can keep Irrelevant in the side lane and just play for that 4v4. Because in that situation, I think they're still able to win things out here. They have a lot of burst, Chocolat, and a lot of CC with Chameleus, and there's so much they could do in these skirmishes.
And you mentioned before too, with the poke as well, right? That also comes out. So even if they didn't want to engage right all at once, they can just poke them out with Inax, with Chocolat, and with Melanic too. So when they're about half health, it's just about an immediate collapse, which you saw the turn previously in the mid lane from GameWard. And with Misfits being Disney squishy, that is very much a possibility until Tix gets a bit more tank stats on him. Won't happen until much later on. As you see, all the going towards the top side. So that means that Tix knows that he sees them there. It's an opportunity for him to take with his Ocean Dragon, which they didn't take before, surprisingly.
Yeah, again, they didn't quite have the window. They weren't confident enough to take it, so GameWard are going to, at the very least, delay their potential Dragon Soul stacking here. But the payment, or rather the exchange, they feel is worth it because they're going to be able to take this top turret, shadow Chocolat, and get more gold into this Syndra's pocket. Because you look at the side of Misfits, there's a lot of squishy members here. If we're really thinking about it, yeah, Vander is kind of a tank, but he's not going Aftershock. It is the Glacial build, so a good scatter of the week to set up some of these plays here from GameWard. It's not only going to do a lot of damage, it's going to set up some really good team fights here. And GameWard will also get this Rift Herald, so they could use that to set up a potential dive, or just use it to break open the mid and tier 1 turret. I think opening up the map will probably be the most beneficial for them.
Over the map, the only way to do so, like you're saying, is just to get more of these turrets. Misfits have managed to get down all 3. All 3 out is gone, and with top lane pushing in more and more so. Irrelevant getting all that solo gold helps nobody but Misfits, sadly. I wonder if he actually try to go bot side to try to match Melanic here in the bot lane, but I think him just pushing top might be the biggest, might be the best bet. But nah, yeah, he does indeed go bot, considering a lot of Misfits already there. So they want to at least try to push his bot wave all the way in. But GameWard are also shouting around. Might be a potential fight if any one of them moves a bit too far forward past the vision line.
A lot of bodies move to the mid lane. We're seeing the bubble land. The thing here, too, is that Misfits probably expecting the GameWard want to drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane, so they're committing a lot of people there. They have Irrelevant on this bottom side, so he's going to be able to get the push here, and he can walk up if need be, but that's right. They're walking down to him.
Yeah, and he just sniffed this out. He does manage to hop away, so he stays far enough that they can't collapse on him. He's completely out of position, but they're still around Irrelevant. I don't know if you want to commit to this, but he goes full. Now he wants to burst it down before they're even there. The solo kill should be there for Irrelevant. Flashes over the wall. Needs one more rock. The boulder misses, but he still gets solo as Tinks is now away and Akabe in trouble. Has to run away.
Really unfortunate 1v1 coming through there. Does get Irrelevant essentially. Solos Melanic. And you can see it, he walks away with it. Now he's got a bounty too for Worthful. Yep. Showing all the gold that he is worth, being able to pick up all these kills, XP. He's in such a strong position at the moment here, and I'm not really sure what the idea was there for Melanic. Maybe he was hoping he could bat him away, not get Nard into the wall, but he unfortunately did. Oh wow, the stopwatch.
Restoration is immediate, as is the one from the big old bear. That's a
Tower's back on.
Jekyll has to flash away, like you said, Tower. And probably pick them down if they're not careful. Akabe goes exactly there, lands the bubble, no one slept, and everyone's A-OK as Irrelevant shows up too.
And that was a beautiful stopwatch there from Chayek. Yeah. Chekolad trying to make the big play, flashing over the wall, but if Chayek actually gets stunned out and killed, that fight goes very differently. But props to Misfits, being able to turn things around in that instance and say, hey, okay, now we can make the play here. And even though they trade some lives, it's still ultimately positive for them as they continue to advance their gold lead here. And even though you see a lot of it is on Misfits, you can see how difficult it is overall for GameWard to be able to actually participate in these like fights for prio, because we talk about poke, right? And in draft we were saying, okay, Jace has poke, Zoe has poke, that's all well and good, but Melanic has been relegated to side lane. He's not often there when they're fighting for mid priority. So that means the advantage of range and poke is in favor of Misfits, because you just have Chayek throwing Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, throwing Paddle Stars. So it isn't unless Chameleus gets a good engage or Chekolad gets a really big stun with that Scatter of the Week that we're going to see GameWard be able to actually find a proper angle to fight.
And I think as of right now, with the way it's looking, I know they want to get Melanic just at least as far ahead as possible, at least get into the Murrah mana before he's able to go out to another lane. But I want to see Chekolad inside lane instead, but might not be possible, as they will likely get one more. Vander is most definitely dead. A good collapse by GameWard.
The timing ends up really, really good too, because now Melanic is going to be able to take this turret, push this bot wave a little further, and you're going to be able to set up vision for this dragon. Since Vander's not there for a little bit, not many wards are going to be able to be placed, and they still have the Rift Herald going through. So they're essentially going to kind of race with Irrelevant as they send Melanic back to be able to try and slow him down. It should be a secure turret.
They get the stun on the tower onto Akabe, and Tinks does have the ultimate if you wanted to try to turn this, but he's a ton of damage. Bubble will not land, but they want to chase him down. Chekolad gets scattered, the weak flashes over. Oh, the ult misses, but Chameleus is still dead, and now comes an Akabe. Tinks is dead again. It's a 1-for-1. The Moonlight Vigil will land onto 2, and now we'll see every single member of GameWard bot side die. And
GameWard starting to really come apart at the seams here. They're trying to force plays and make things happen. You can see it, they overstay during that attempt on that bot tier 2 turret. It would have been a nice chunk of gold, a nice objective bounty for the team, but they end up giving away too many lives, and yet another dragon here if Misfits so choose to take it. Because Tinks is gone, they're going to hold off, so there might be a chance GameWard could play for some kind of steal, but there is no way they're going to be able to actually get control of the pit because you have mid constantly pushing here. And you can see the play. They're already overextended in this situation, and because of that long-range Paddle Star lands, Tinks knows he can go through. He pops the Chem Tank and even commits the flash in the process here. So even though they managed to get one trade back on the side of GameWard, the movement from the teammates is what makes this ultimately a futile effort.
Unfortunate there, as you see in the picture that Dragon was taken by Misfits instead after all that bot side prio. And just the turns that have been happening between both these teams. Also, the Misfits is finally at a place where they can come on top of it extremely handily without any fear of losing a ton of members. And the fact that Tinks, unfortunately, does die off the back of it, but he's simply just been a setup tool to make sure that the rest of his laners can farm as many champions gold as they do so please. As you were talking about Chayek being ahead, he's still 2-0-4, but now Wulai has some more assist into him, and Relevant 3-0-1. Things are getting very, very scary for GameWard. And we're about to see the Group F as 5, which is doing right now.
As you say, things are going to get tougher and tougher here. It's especially difficult when you're trying to fight for position over the area around neutral objectives. When you're fighting in the river, or when you're just trying to face check and walk in, having to deal things like with a Gnar, with a Zoe, and even a Volibear is very dangerous for most members of GameWard. So it's really difficult if GameWard managed, or if Misfits managed to get a hold of objective vision first, and most likely they're going to, because they're going to have a constant push mid. They have the advantages pretty much all over the map with whatever lane Irrelevant in, basically auto-pushing into GameWard's base.
And it's not even like anybody can actually match him in the side lane too, so they would have to commit so many resources to shut him down. And we've seen this happen with Nars in the past as well, right? And I believe it was Aggressive Vu himself who got so far ahead, they literally had to send 5 people there to kill him, and off the back of that, they lost 2 towers. So, this moment might not be so great, but Woolite is getting collapsed upon. He has a little bit of backup. It takes 2, as he has Vander there. And now let's see what Inax can do.
They caught him.
Vander should be dead. They'll do a bunch of damage. Accurate flashing with the wall. Puts to the Crescent Guard. Now Tanks wants to get on top of him. He still has the ultimate. There we go. The
He's a little too far.
And that's a double for Chocolate. A beautiful scatter, but it's still B1 for 2. As now missing what I can see this Cheyenne.
Inax
takes a way too many rockets to the face. Has to run away. And Relevant is not here. Nar into the wall,
the
baby.
flash.
Beautiful stuff from him. Now Melnick is slow. It's a double kill for Woolite. Let's see the triple. Come on. I know you want it. It's blue and purple.
Don't say it.
No nervous.
GameWard, every play they try to make, just not managing to pan out for them here. And you can see it. It's so hard when Melnick joins the fight versus when Irrelevant joins the fight. You can see the difference in how things turn out. And that's why Misfits are very confident to take engages that look a little mixy. Tinks trades his life in a lot of these situations here for these plays to buy time for the rest of the team to show up, and it's always positive because of the leads they have everywhere else on the map. And now because of the Baron start, even with their jungler just showing up, you get TPs forced out. My god, and you also killed Melnick.
And you pretty much did. Vander can probably solo him unless okay, the shield a bit too good, and that's
Vander,
more than enough to force him off. Yeah, I mean, we did see, I think it was almost 2 or 3 solo kills from Nautilus yesterday, so this right here, not super great, but they do enough of a job to force him off the Baron. Unfortunate, but a good play by GameWard.
Still, you trade actually 2 teleports for it, which is really positive for Misfits. All they really have to do is find another situation in the next couple minutes to go for it yet again, and it's going to be easy for them this time around if someone like Melnick or Chocolate are on the other side of the map, and even if not, still, Misfits comp, very dangerous to base check against, especially with how far ahead they are. So GameWard have to continue. I will give them credit, because we talk about how usually when they're behind, they turtle up and aren't as likely to make plays. This game, they've been making plays. They've been trying to catch people out, trying, especially Chocolate, to use that scatter of the week to set up potential plays. It just hasn't been able to work out. And a lot of it is because when it ends up into the 5v5, when the top laners show up, Irrelevant is so strong, has so much value and utility on this Gnar, that he is able to help secure these fights for Misfits Premier.
Yeah, exactly like you mentioned, right? It's as though they're calling over their big brother after all the siblings get into a fight. And as soon as Irrelevant shows up, everybody must scatter on the side of GameWard. But you mentioned before that if they do relieve Irrelevant, relegated to a side lane, these 4v4s they might be on top of, I find that is slipping away from them slowly but surely, as Relevant is now there. They're going on to 1.
Oh, the damage!
Yet again is huge! As he has to pop the flash, a ton of damage being taken yet again. But look at Woolite, he is untouched on the back line. And that is the bot lane of GameWard down.
And that's another Baron attempt open to Misfits Premier. And yeah, even though the teleports don't matter because Chocolate and Melnick are here, the numbers are not in GameWard's favor. All they can really do is trade for a dragon on the bottom side of the map. And you know, they're not even going to try for this Baron. It's not in the cards for them. But at least being able to get the tier 1, an objective bounty, and another objective bounty with the dragon could be something. But however, Irrelevant.
Oh, Vander yet again, unfortunately, the same play.
I did a third.
He jumps over the wall, gets pushed back, and now he's by himself. He can't heal up off this by all on his own.
He's trying.
The bubble. He's trying. The CC.
He will die.
Can't do it. No, sir. He refuses to die.
And that means no Dragon trade through here for GameWard. They only managed to get the mid lane turret, and for that they have lost everything. Misfits take the Baron, they take the Dragon, and they are just firmly tightening their grip on this game.
It's as though a stranglehold is simply right around the neck of GameWard, and they have no real way of possibly escaping except through potential picks and catching something out. But Beatdown, realistically, is there a way the GameWard actually come back into this game? Can they somehow equalize this with now that Misfits have Baron?
We're at a point in the game where it sucks to say, and it sucks to be in that situation where you just have to hope mistakes happen here, and you can see it. They try and hope for something in this mid lane. Everyone is here too, but Tinks, again, constantly able to just use his body, use all these engages to jump into these fights, and you just set it up. You called it during the fight. Woolite, untouched, full health. Bloodthirster goes crazy with that shield he's able to get for himself, and he's able to freely throw out damage along with his mid laner Chayak. And the thing that is just insult to injury, it's irrelevant TPing to deny, actually it wasn't even to deny the Dragon, it was to set up this very play. And that even though, again, the same thing is true as it has been all game. Every pick we see come through, Irrelevant makes it null and void.
Yeah, and it's just so easy, exactly like you mentioned, right? But I will say this was super close for him, and as he did almost die.
I want an HP number.
What saved him is the grasp proc actually there too.
Yeah, probably.
Which I saw he got off, but no grasping here, because you see GameWard grasping as simply just straws to get Irrelevant. Never mind, might be getting more straws than usual. Shy lands the bubble, Inex dodges it. He's fine, he gets the heal off too, but they will lose 2 inhibitors off of it, but with no Irrelevant here, I do not think Misfits can close this out, but they have a lot of wave coming in.
They want to try.
They want to close it out here, Beatdown.
This could be the opportunity, GameWard. They're going to have to do it here and now. HP bars are low.
Speaking of HP bars, Tinks as well, gets a small shield. He's most definitely dead once more, but look at the backline. Look how Woolite's popping off by himself. Okay, the unleashed power is cool, but by the end of it, winning is so much cooler, as is a Nexus. Woolite gets the double. All you gotta do is hit the Nexus, baby. That's all you gotta do. Close it out, but he will not do so. Banner shuts it down as he is bought once more. He was confident enough to take them all out. Gets more kills.